As a man, what really fulfills you is the idea of setting goals and achieving them. These goals might be small, like maintaining a hobby for fun, or bigger, such as becoming a millionaire. You get satisfaction from solving the problems that occur as part of your goal. You feel complete and content with the smaller things in life. Women need disorder and chaos to feel content. They will seek problems and find issues. If you think of the dynamic of man and women in these terms, you see the beauty of nature in that women create problems, men solve them. It is a perfect balance. This isn't to say women are problematic and faulty, more that women are designed to test men and ensure they are of good value, essentially helping men, making life better for everybody, and as a result, a better society. This means women often will create problems, however, that affect a man's happiness. When a man gets with a woman, he hopes their dynamic will remain the same. She will adore him, she will bestow him with love and compliments, they will have regular sex, and they will remain like this until they die. For women, the relationship must change, it must improve, and it must improve on her terms. You must become her vision of a perfect man. A vision that is informed by her hypergamy and her problem-causing nature. This means that she might begin to try and change the jokes you make with your friends because of how they make her feel. The way you like to relax with a beer might be seen as something she doesn't like. The music you might like to listen to might need to be turned off as it makes her feel anxious. These are some examples, but I'm sure every man who's had a relationship knows the kind of changes that can be implemented. I have a story here of a man whose wife is doing just this. It is entitled, "My Wife Will No Longer Let Me Pursue My Hobbies." He is 31 years old, she is 37 years old. His post starts, exactly as the title implies. She says, "I am not allowed to pursue my own hobbies anymore, as they are unhealthy. Before our marriage 7 months ago, I was interested in all sorts of things, playing video games for at least a few hours per week, collecting Star Wars figures. Some may say that was a bit childish, but I enjoyed it nonetheless, painting Warhammer 40k, etc. These are things that I had done since my early teens. My wife wanted us to make healthy lifestyle changes after our marriage, which at first I took as just eating healthier, exercising, etc. I was totally on board for it. Everything was fine until I went down to the basement one day and noticed all of my Star Wars figures gone from the display shelf. All that remained were some limbs from a few of the figures. My wife was at work, so I sent her a text asking what happened to them. In the meantime, I rummaged through all of the garbage and finally found the figures in the bigger garbage next to the garage. Most of the cards were torn up and the figures dismembered, while others were completely burned or melted. I took a picture and sent it to her, asking if she did it. That night, after not replying to any of my texts, I confronted her. It turned into a huge argument about how my hobbies are immature and that she was repulsed by them, even threatening to not have sex with me until I gave them up. In the heat of the moment, I agreed with her, if only to get her to stop yelling at me. End quote. So far this post is horrible, this woman is abusive as hell, but when I read that line, if only to get her to stop yelling at me, I was pretty disturbed. This woman is clearly awful and this chap should get out of this marriage. This isn't the point here, however. Let's continue on with the post. We haven't talked about it since, and I've unfortunately been abiding by her rules for the past 7 months. Though I've been secretly playing video games, buying figures, etc., she only found out about it one time, and she destroyed it immediately. I can't keep this up any longer. I want to have my own hobbies without her getting upset. The main post ends there, but the updates are fascinating also. Initially, the follow-up to his post is this. Thank you all so much for the words of support and guidance, it truly means a lot. Getting a different perspective on this has made me realize that she may be going through some internal or mental issues. She was the love of my life before all of this, and I am not going to give up on her by just getting a divorce without knowing the reason for her acting this way. I'm going to ask if she would be willing to go to a therapy session and move on from there. End post. So it looks like the immediate advice he was given was to divorce her and leave. He looks like he decided to take some time initially but then changed his mind. His next update is this. Currently at my best friend's house, drafting an email to send to my lawyer first thing in the morning. I had decided to hook my Xbox up to the living room television and gauge what my wife's reaction would be when she came home from work and saw me playing. She immediately went to our bedroom and slammed the door. I walked in on her angrily texting something on her phone before she screamed at me that I was going back on my promises, and that playing games is unhealthy. I kept telling her that I deserve to have my own hobbies, and she told me that no real husband has those kinds of hobbies. I basically told her that she was free to go find a real husband, and I packed a small bag and drove to my friend's house. I feel kind of relieved, but also sick to my stomach. I will keep updating when I can. You are also supportive and deserve to be kept in the loop. His post is updated again with the following. My wife has been texting me non-stop, asking where I went and telling me to come back to the house. She even claimed she was pregnant and that I was abandoning my own child, only to backtrack a few minutes later. I'm making sure to save all of these texts in case my lawyer thinks they could come in use. I spent the morning talking to my family and a few of my other friends about the situation. They all agree that a divorce needs to happen, whether or not she is mentally ill. My sister even said that she had a bad feeling about her, but saw how happy I was and didn't want to impose at the time. My lawyer has suggested not to confront or communicate with my wife until divorce proceedings can be put into motion. Currently going to my house while she is at work to gather my valuable belongings. The final update is this. My now ex-wife has been incredibly apologetic for not only the main incident in my post, but also for how she's been treating me in general. She has also agreed to pay me a lump sum for the figures. We came to a mutual agreement in terms of the value. Overall, she has been acting surprisingly reasonable throughout all of this. I feel like this is a positive turning point in my life. Thank you all for giving me the courage to finally take action. End of the post. This woman destroyed this man's possessions, threw them away, screamed at him, demeaned him, told him he wasn't a real husband, accused him of being unhealthy, threatened to withhold sex and managed to abuse him enough to make him drop his hobbies. Do not, I repeat, do not, let a woman control your life like this. Do not let her change you. Do not listen to her if it affects your well-being and your life. She is temporary, your happiness is not. Thanks for listening.